I have issues with Drakengard 2. The game makes some really odd choices that I can't understand. In the first game, Angelus has some weight to her and they basically perfect the movement aspect of the flying levels, but when we get to Drakengard 2, for some reason Legna feels like a toy airplane that is way too sensitive when you touch the joystick. Next, our main character from Drakengard 1, Kame, is an extremely unique take on the silent protagonist trope, where he loses his ability to speak in order to save his life and gain new power, which leads him to slowly lose himself to bloodlust. But in Drakengard 2, we get Noe, who is a Knight of the Seal, whose main purpose is to protect the seals in order to prevent the Watchers from ending the world. At the time we're introduced to Noe in this game, he has been a knight for years, so for some insane reason, Noe asks us questions about every single thing within the game.
Well, Noe, it's your time at last. Good luck in the royal duel.
Eris, what's the point of the royal duels anyway? Why waste time fighting with our allies?
Noe, you really don't know a thing, do you?
This is simply just a case of telling instead of showing. Just getting a whole bunch of exposition over and over and over when it could have just been explained by showing us. And lastly, Drakengard 2 suffers from sequel streamlining, as I like to call it. This is when an original media property, whether that is a movie, a video game, or etc., that is somewhat niche or has aspects of it that aren't usually appealing to the masses, ends up doing better than expected financially. So in the sequel, which in this case is Drakengard 2, loses some of the unique aspects that made it such a success in the first place, which in this case is a lot of the dark storytelling aspects have been stripped from the story, which was honestly the main appealing thing about Drakengard back in the day, which led to its lukewarm reception from the Drakengard community and to people who were just passing by and played it without knowing anything else about the Drakengard series, thought it was just a subpar game in the first place. And while I could keep explaining my many issues with this game, I want to talk about why I do have some great memories of this title and why I cannot say I outright hate it. So throughout Drakengard 2, Noe and your party keep hearing rumors about the one-eyed man who apparently killed our adoptive human father, until we eventually come across this character and it turns out to be Kame, the protagonist of the first game. This bit of storytelling makes a lot of sense, seeing Kame lose himself to his abnormality, and sticks with Yoko Taro's comments saying that any game that centers on slaughtering hundreds in war shouldn't deserve a happy ending, showing off that even in a relatively happy ending, which in this case was a ending similar to Drakengard 1's ending A, can lead to some sad and disturbing circumstances in the long run. But continuing the story, after the end of Drakengard 1, Kame took Mana around to various places to show her firsthand what consequences her actions led to. Eventually, over a period of time, Kame began to care for Mana. Possibly in some twisted way, he began to have sibling-like love for Mana, seeing as she indirectly killed his sister by revealing her deepest secret to Kame. But one day, Mana had enough of Kame's BS and stabbed one of his eyes out, and then she slowly started to free the sacrifices to the seal, which eventually drove Kame to figure out what happened to his pact partner Angelus. Eventually, he finds out that the Knights of the Seal and Verdale, who was one of our allies from Drakengard 1, had increased the power on the seal placed upon Angelus, which eventually from the pain broke her mind and she stopped being able to communicate with Kame telepathically and reverted her to an almost primal-like state of just wanting to destroy everything in sight, which then sets Kame on his path to save Angelus from her suffering and to destroy the world that he set out to save 18 years ago. And then it all finally reaches its climax where Legna, the black dragon that killed Kame's parents before the events of the first game, and with Noe on his back, the son of his best friend Inuart and his sister Furii eventually have to put down Angelus, and upon death they're finally reunited in the same place that they first met each other, doomed to never have a happily ever after most fantasy stories would have given them.
Wings and fly high, passions will die down below. I burn in the peace.
Is it over, time?
And just giving you that short segment because a lot of this stuff is spaced out throughout the game. Just condensing that one storyline really quickly, we have to admit that Drakengard 2 had a lot of potential just looking at some of the concept art for certain enemies that never made it into the game, and just not really going far enough with some of the themes and some of the crazy things that were actually within the game. It had a lot of potential, but it just never capitalized on it and just never took it as far as the first game did. And I'm not saying the story is the only thing that's impressive about the Drakengard and Nier series. There are some great gameplay choices that Yoko Taro made, especially in Drakengard 3 and Nier, where some of the choices that you make throughout the game affect your gameplay. But back in those days, before Nier Automata being definitively the best game to actually play and control your characters in, most of the time when it came to Drakengard games, the gameplay was just a means to the end to figure out more of this great story that Yoko Taro is weaving. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing a remake of this game if Yoko Taro ever wanted to give his own shot at doing Drakengard 2. But seeing as there aren't really any references to it in Drakengard 3, Nier, or Nier Automata, I don't really even think that Yoko Taro sees Drakengard 2 as a part of the series, mainly because he didn't direct the game, which will mean Drakengard 2 will always kind of be an outlier when it comes to this series. But with that being said, you guys, I really just wanted to make this video to talk about how there are things that overall we can probably dislike, but if we take a deeper look and really look at it, even we can find things to enjoy about things that we really don't, that we honestly maybe even dislike. And let me know down below, is there any movies, video games, songs, people in general that you may have a general dislike for, but there is something about this said thing or person you have to admit that you very much enjoy? Let me know down below. But with that being said, if you want to see more videos like this one and many more, subscribe down below, hit the like button, also hit those notifications as well. It has been your boy Skipx, and I will see you all in the next one.